When a tailor works with clothes, they have to think about how two-dimensional pieces of fabric will be sewn together to describe a three-dimensional form. When UV unwrapping a character, we can think similarly. We can think like a tailor when we create our UV. Look at your own clothes and see where the seams are. With my shirt, there are seams on the sides, at the top of the shoulders, around the sleeves, and on the inside of the sleeves. And on my jeans, there are seams on the outside pant legs and on the inside. Looking at the actual seams on my clothes, I'm going to take what I've learned and apply it to my mesh in Maya. With my mesh selected, I go to UV Editor. Switching to my front camera, I return to my UV toolkit and go to Create Camera Based, creating a projection from the front camera. I'm now selecting my edges, in this case the edges on the side of the shirt, and then in my UV toolkit I go to Cut and Sew, Cut. In my top left corner of the UV toolkit I'm turning on Texture Borders. This will make it easier to see my seams. I can also go to Display, Polygons, Custom Polygon Display, and turn on Texture Borders. This will allow me to more easily see my seams also in my perspective viewport. Now I continue the process by cutting the rest of the seams on my shirt. The left side of the shirt, where the sleeves meet the torso, and at the top of the shoulders. The bold edges indicate where the seams are on my shirt, identical to the actual shirt we looked at earlier. Returning to my UV editor, I select all my UVs, I go to Unfold and click Unfold. The shirt is now unfolded, however, the UV shells are on top of one another. By selecting all my UVs and going in my UV editor down to Arrange and Layout, I will click on the Layout button, and this will try to arrange my UV shells so that they're not right on top of one another. Notice that when I select the UV shells in my UV editor, you can see the corresponding shell in my perspective viewport as well. I will now manually rearrange my UVs, putting them in a more logical order. Take note of the coordinates of your 2D UV space. I will return my UV shells to the UV space beginning at 0, 0. The process for the trousers will be identical to that of the shirt, so I'll go through this next step or next stage more quickly. Displaying texture borders in my viewports is not necessary, but simply makes my work a little bit easier. I'm going to my UV editor, and once again I'm going to do a camera-based projection from the front camera. I'm now selecting my edges, going to Cut and Sew and cutting the edges. Selecting my UVs and unfolding. Once again I'm going to Arrange and Layout and clicking on Layout to arrange my UV shells, and now I will manually move my UV shells into place. Try to make sure that your UV shells do not overlap one another, and have them occupy the UV space beginning at 0, 0. Now my shirt and trousers are UV unwrapped and ready to be textured. So our character has been UV unwrapped and is ready to be textured. The shirt has been UV unwrapped, and the trousers have been UV unwrapped. Now on to texture creation. In a future video, I'd like to go over some creative ways to create textures. But for now, we'll keep it very simple. All the textures I'm about to show you I created in about 10 minutes. I created all these textures using the camera on my phone, and all the editing was done on my phone as well. The one edit I would like to bring your attention to, the most important one, is that I made the textures square. As I've mentioned before in previous videos, Maya prefers that your textures are square. Now that you've seen my textures, let's return to Maya and apply them to the character. To apply my new textures, I open up my Hypershade, select the material, and here I'm opening up the attribute editor. In the materials color channel, I click on the checkerboard, select File, click on the folder, and select the texture that I want. Remember, to see your textures in Maya, you need to press 6 on your keyboard, and there it is, applied. If I want to change the texture, I can simply select a different texture and apply it to the color channel. And that's that. I've applied a texture to the trousers of my character. Moving on to the shirt, I'll try a couple of the different textures that I created. My living room carpet makes for a stylish sweater, don't you think? Remember that you can always return to the UV editor to make adjustments. You can move the UVs around, you can scale the UVs, you can rotate the UVs, you can also shift the UV shells around. I hope you've enjoyed this video of some simple UV techniques as well as some simple texture creation. Thank you for watching.